Hi, good afternoon, Celebrate Lit readers. I am so excited for the opportunity to share a portion of my story today. Thank you, Sandy, and the Celebrate Lit team for giving me that opportunity. Today I'm going to be reading from my debut novel, Something I Am Not. This story has already in its short life won several awards. It won the Genesis contest with ACFW. It also won, this year it won Christian Indie Award for Best YA. And it's also one of the 3 finalists for the Carol Awards, the ACFW Carol Awards coming up. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited to share with you a portion of it. Something I Am Not is a story about a young man who, for all intents and purposes, looks like a normal high schooler. But Billy lives 2 separate lives. His one is in high school. It's his senior year, his best friends. He has a football scholarship, his first girlfriend, all those things that seem perfectly normal on the one side. But he's actually living a separate life where his father is grooming him for the modern day slave trade. And worse, his 8-year-old brother is next in line. So that's kind of a basis of the conflict in the story. And what I'm reading today is a portion from chapter 2. So it's set in the barroom upstairs apartment that Billy shares with his father. So this is chapter 2, The Paradox. And I'm only going to read a portion of it. I won't read the whole thing, but I hope you enjoy it. The clamor had stopped a few hours before. Only the rhythmic tick of the clock and my father's guttural snores interrupted the quiet. I forced my eyes open. I would have given anything for 30 more minutes of sleep. The warmth from the electric heater in the center of the room barely reached the lumpy mat that masqueraded as my bed in the corner. I shivered as I threw off the cover and clambered to my feet. I folded back the blanket and tucked the edges underneath. My compulsion to put these things right was meaningless. No one checked to see if I made my bed. I stole a series of furtive glances at the slumbering form on the queen bed that took up much of the single-room apartment. Not that he would stir this early. Yet I felt his eyes on me, even when closed in sleep. We shared an old broken dresser, my father and I. Though capable of buying a new one, he chose not to. Priorities, I suppose. If there had been a mother, maybe it would have been fixed. Maybe some fancy doily or a vase of flowers would have been set on the dresser top, adding a splash of color to the only other decoration there, a faded black and white photo encased in a cheap frame. I picked it up, as I often did, bracing the plastic corners so it would not fall apart. The picture portrayed Max 13 years earlier, impressive. A sheen of sweat covered his body, and he held his middleweight championship belt over his head, his face still bruised and swollen from the fight. His sponsor stood proudly by him. I was 4 the day of the picture. It was my earliest memory and my first real boxing match, and it was Sunday. I remembered because I thought God would be disappointed I'd missed Mrs. Bailey's Sunday school class and would be sure to punish me later. The arena had exploded with noise, and I'd stood in the middle of it, eyes wide, taking it all in. Lights flashed. People jostled and shoved their way forward as one throng, arms and limbs moving to the same pulse, like a giant octopus. And at the center of the creature beat the rope-stringed heart with the violent blows of my father and another man. Bronze skin glistened over swells of muscle and straining tendons. The people shouted my father's name, though they were strangers. I wondered at that. I did not know any of them. I knew only his trainer, and just barely. He put an arm on my shoulder and directed me through the mob. Pushing a wooden stool up near my father's corner, he helped me climb onto it. Then he draped a towel embroidered with the letters MM around my neck. I traced the silky threads with my finger. But when the ropes bulged near my head with the weight of the fighters, I startled and forgot about the letters. The trainer handed me a bucket to catch my father's spit. my arms scarcely long enough to wrap around the metal's breadth, strained with the bucket's weight. Each passing moment transformed saliva to stone. Yet I beamed with importance, my small chest threatening to burst, at least until the splattering on my cheeks turned crimson. When it was all over, Max leaned against the ropes and smiled down at me. "We did it, Billy. We won. Isn't that great, son?" I remember wondering what they had done with my father and who this man was with a twisted nose and puffy slits for eyes, who spoke to me through cracked lips. Nightmares are born of less, and as I contemplated it at 17, allowing a 4-year-old to watch his father get his face bashed in was not my idea of great. The photo had captured the flashing lights along with my father's messed up face and radiant smile. I stood at his feet then, but the cameraman had left me out. Each time I held the photo, I willed the lens to pan down just once, to know for sure if the face and its frozen expression matched the recollection, to know if the light in the boy had been snuffed out then or years later. I set the frame back on the dresser and gingerly rubbed my cheek. Max still had a nasty right hook. I dressed and shoved last night's clothing deep into the garbage can. No hope for removing the stains. I stood over my father for a moment in the calm. His arm clutched the pillow, and one leg hung over the edge. I did not know the woman who slept next to him. The muscles on his broad, bare back, still solidly defined without the gym, rose and fell with each steady breath. His profile seemed so serene and almost beautiful, the ironic paradox of my father. All my life, I wanted to believe in him. I wanted to trust him. I wanted to be like him in many ways, and yet nothing like him. I loved my father, and I hated him. Okay, thanks, readers. Again, that was just an excerpt from Something I Am Not, and you can find this anywhere books are sold. God bless you. Have a great night.